I think you have to be very firm and very clear about what you want when you go to work for a company, because don't undervalue yourself. Alright guys, welcome back for another video. You're gonna have to bear with me in this one. We're trying out the new camera equipment. Finally, there's so many buttons and doodads on this thing that I can't keep them all straight, and it's been somewhat of a learning curve to say the least. But in today's video, I wanted to bring back kind of more of the discussion aspect of things, and the question is going to be, what's it like being a self-employed, one-man show automotive technician, and is being a mechanic worth it in 2023? So let's get started. So I realize this discussion is kind of going to be twofold, because we're going to talk about being an automotive technician and being in the industry in 2023, but then also being a self-employed mechanic, right? So I think you got to ask yourself, first and foremost, do you enjoy working on cars? And obviously, if you clicked on this video, the answer is probably yes, but you really have to consider that, because it didn't personally happen to me, but a lot of people say that when they start working on cars professionally, they lose the desire to work on their own cars. Again, that never happened to me. I mean, sure, there's days where I'm sick of working on cars and I don't want to look at a car, but that usually comes from being overworked or burnt out. And I'm not talking about 40 hours a week. I'm talking about working, 60, 70 hours that week. Those are the kind of situations that make me not want to work on cars for a while. But on my own vehicles, like the Mountaineer, the Audi, all of that stuff, I never really have had that, because most of the time it's not general maintenance or general repair. I'm not doing any of that normal stuff usually. I'm doing modifications, I'm customizing things, you know what I mean? You can dabble in all sorts of things when it's your own rig. And if you're into vehicles, oftentimes they become an extension of your personality. So that I never lost, but I do think that is one thing to consider, because I know plenty of people who have lost their passion for cars just because they work on them every day. And honestly, some of them never get that back. I have car friends that literally are just completely out of the hobby now. Like, they just have no desire because they've burnt themselves out, or even just working 40 hours a week at a shop and they just lose their interest in it. So I really think, whether we're talking about being a mechanic right now or being self-employed, maybe you're already a technician at a dealership or an independent and you want to go out on your own, that's one thing that you should consider, is the possibility that you might not like working on your own stuff anymore. Is something on my face? The next point I wanted to make here is that if I wasn't able to start my own shop, and I mean, this is a little shop, it's tiny, it is not very big, but it's just me, I got a lift, I got most of the tools that I need, and I'm super grateful for that. But if I wasn't in this position, I wouldn't be wrenching on cars anymore. When I left the dealership, I was so unbelievably burnt out on cars and working on them and being underpaid and having super high expectations, just being treated like a warm body that was going to be replaced the second I walked out the door. I wouldn't do that anymore. I was so burnt out that I was in a position where I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, and I've always wanted to work for myself. And then when I decided I wanted to be an auto tech, I was like, you know what, maybe someday I could have my own shop. And yeah, here we are. Now, the first year was really, really tough. I did lots of DoorDash deliveries. I had lots of weeks where I didn't have any customers, because it takes time to build a customer base. Now we're just over the hump of year number 2, and I got so much work out there. Maybe we'll show you. You know what, I'm gonna open the door and show you. So some of these vehicles are mine. The Mountaineer's ours, obviously. That Acadia is a customer car. The white truck's mine, that other Mazda and the Audi. But we have a Nissan down there. Then over next to the Nissan, we have a Ford Escape. We just put the motor in that Sequoia. I have 4 other appointments coming in the next couple days. So we got lots of work, guys. It's piling up, and I'm super blessed that that is happening. But again, that work was not always there. It wasn't always like that. And you're gonna have to weather that storm and get over that hump. And I realize that's more on the business ownership side of things. Which brings me to my next point. If you're thinking about doing this thing on your own, I applaud you. I think it's a great great decision. I'm busier than I've ever been because there's obviously office work. You're not just the technician anymore. Now you're the parts guy, you're the service advisor, you're the manager, you're the cleanup crew, you're everything, right? So you are busier, but it's not all directly wrenching. But if you do it like me and you have a small operation like I do, I'm the only employee. Sometimes I have the dog with me, but there's nobody else here, you guys. So last week I got sick. I'm not gonna say what it was because I don't want to get demonetized. But anyway, I was sick for 4 days, right? 4 days where I really didn't do anything. I didn't get out of bed. That was 4 days that I could not be here because I was sick and there's nobody else working on the cars. Meanwhile, my phone's going off the hook. People are trying to schedule things and I had to pick up all that slack when I came back. So this weekend, guess what I'm going to be doing Saturday and Sunday? Working. I'm going to be catching up still. I feel a lot better about where we are right now because I was able to crank out some work the later half of this week after I was feeling better. But you have a lot more responsibility when you're doing this thing on your own. As far as being a technician for somebody else at a dealership, cars are getting increasingly complicated. You basically have to be a computer programmer to do a lot of the stuff on modern cars. The scan tools are getting more expensive, but on the dealer side of things and big chain shops where you're gonna see more of the newer cars, I just feel like we're underpaid. If I can take the motor out of a car, to quote my buddy Sam, make it run like a goddamn sewing machine and you're paying me $17 an hour, that ain't gonna work for me. So I think you gotta be very clear and I think you have to be very firm and very clear about what you want when you go to work for a company, because don't undervalue yourself. This job, I'm not gonna say it's the hardest job in the world because I'm just not, it's not, but it's very physically demanding and it's very mentally demanding, right? And it can be very frustrating. So before you put your body through all of that and you deal with the mental stress, because guess what? Sometimes you wake up at night and you're like, oh my God, did I tighten that lug nut? And that's not something that ever goes away. On top of that, my shoulders have issues, my hands are always sore, they're always beat up, banged up, my back is sore, my knees, and you gotta take care of yourself. That's part of it. You have to take care of yourself, but it's gonna take a toll on your body. I don't care how careful you are. So these are all things that I think you should consider before you get into working on cars. Like I said though, if I was not able to work for myself, I wouldn't be wrenching anymore, because as a whole, in today's day and age, I think mechanics are undervalued and underpaid. So that it is what it is. All right, you guys, I hope I didn't botch this too much with the new camera gear, and hopefully you guys enjoy these types of videos. I did take a little poll. It sounded like the majority of people wanted some of the discussion type videos to come back. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any specific questions, drop them in the comments down below. Like this video, it really helps me out a lot when you do that. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and as always, we'll see you next time.